speaking of the apps, man, dating apps to be specific.
Okay. Not appetizers.
Not appetizers. Talking about dating apps, man. I've been in this group chat with a bunch of my friends, and recently it seems like there's been like a lot of sharing of like singles events that are going on in the city. And then I kind of took note of that. I was like, I'm on the apps and it works or doesn't work. And I asked my friends, my guy friends especially, to find out, what's their experience on it. And the results aren't great. Consensus is less than stellar, not a lot of results, not a lot of matches. And when you do, the matches don't really amount to anything. So the question is, okay, where do you go if you want to meet somebody? Like, I don't know. I mean, I'm single, like I'm out and about and I like to do things in and around my city. And I do notice that it is kind of difficult to go to places or to find places where you can just like casually meet somebody. The tradition was like, let's just go to the bar or go to the club. Turn up at the club. I think I'm kind of past that personally. And I know a lot of my friends are not really, into going out and like drinking a bunch to like meet people. Like the results may vary. Let's be real about that. Some people have better luck at it than others. And like, then there's run clubs. Like the run clubs came up. I was like, oh yeah, maybe you'll meet somebody at a run club. Man, I don't want to run. I'm not a runner. We talked about this already.
Yeah.
Like I'll cycle. Maybe. But then what I'm hearing is that run clubs aren't for finding dates either. They're for people who like to run. So like that whole thing was like a wash. So then the question is like, all right, so where do you go if you want to like meet cool people, have an engaging connection, and like maybe go on a date that isn't a dating app? And I didn't know, and my friends didn't know. And then all of a sudden we see all these like speed dating and like social mixer and all this kind of stuff. So I was like, all right, let me take a minute and just like investigate this a little bit. And actually came across someone who is like taking on this initiative. And they started an Instagram account called the Pair Club. And they are hosting singles events that are specifically not speed dating. I remember the first event I saw that I like felt like, okay, you know what? I've done the dating app. I've done some like bar nights out. I go to public spaces. Let me try speed dating. That would end up getting canceled. I didn't go. But now that there's like a variety, I'm like kind of interested. So I messaged the person that owns the Pair Club Instagram because I wanted to get some insider info. And I've shared some of the flyers for some of the events that are going on. And there's one called Not That Speedy, Kind of Dating, 40 plus men and women. That's on Friday, September 12th. There's one, Paddle and Social. It's like dip your toes in Richmond single scene, paddle with the waterfront. So like, I guess you want to, go down to the river and paddle. Also not going to a club and not going to a bar, kind of leaning towards, just social activities. But the one that really got me was October 24th, the singles night at Celeste Farms. And I think you mentioned liking Celeste Farms.
Yeah. It's a cool spot for sure.
Yeah. I've never been, but I kind of want to go. And, after talking to her, I got a lot of insight about like what she's trying to do. And it's pretty cool. It's like, it's different than speed dating. She's trying to create social events that are marketed towards single people, but not specifically with the goal of them going to find a date. It's not like gamifying finding, a date or a partner, like an app. It's like, all right, yeah, I'm inviting single people. We're going to go and do some cool stuff. We're going to have some mocktails, maybe some food, hang out at the sauna, maybe go do some paddling. Maybe you'll make a connection.
Yeah.
Get out of your comfort zone, do something that you haven't done before. Could be fun.
It sounds to me almost like it's sort of social and friendship first versus like when I think of an app, I think of like, it's either like hookups or marriage led, right? And there's like no in between, right? It's like, and I don't know, I've never been on a dating app. But my understanding of it is like, yeah, you're either using this thing to look for a hookup or you're going through and checking off your checklist for your life partner.
Right.
Which both kind of sound wild to me.
Yeah.
But I definitely I like Celeste Farms. It's great. You definitely want to practice your cold plunging before you go. So that way you can go and be like, oh yeah, I do this all the time.
Yeah. I got to
practice on.
I'll get the reps in.
Yeah. But I think that's cool. I think it's an indicator of post-COVID survival in a way. It's like, I think I hate even talking about COVID. It's like people bring it up and it's like, didn't that end like 5 years ago, dude? Why are we still talking about this? But it really did have a profound impact on the way that people socialize and how we do things, how we work, how we find friends, how we find partners, how we do anything. And like you mentioned, like bars and clubs, like alcohol consumption is down significantly, which is a great thing. But I think a lot of dating, and this has been true for decades, like just social anything has always revolved around the watering hole, right? Around going to the bar, going to get a drink, going to get a beer, going to get a cold one, going to the baseball game and getting a pint. Like it's just all about drinking. Everything is revolved around drinking. And now that has changed or is starting to change, there are people looking for other outlets and realizing there are none, and it's like, what? Okay, go take a pottery class or go do whatever. And it's like, as men, it's like, okay, well, we're not allowed to find people in the wild because everybody's terrified of like, some crazy shit happening to them because everybody's watching like, true crime on Netflix and everything. And everybody's like, oh no, don't kill me. And it's like, relax.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm just trying to hang out, man, And I can only speak for myself, but fortunately, like all the relationships I've been in have been from meeting people in the wild, you know? And I've just always stuck to that. It's like I've literally never downloaded a dating app. Never will.
Yeah.
Unless I go through some sort of midlife crisis or something. But no intentions of doing that. And I think it speaks to the uncomfortability that people have in connecting with people. Everybody's got their guard up. Everybody's worried about what's someone going to think about me and all this other stuff. And I think it's a worthy cause to learn to get better at that, right? It's like people's number one fear is public speaking. Like they fear public speaking over death. Like death is number 2. Number 1 is public speaking.
Yeah.
So I think it says like, okay, well, as humans, we care deeply about what people think about us. And which is, I think is totally normal, right? Of course we do. It's why we dress the way we dress and we talk the way we talk and we do the things we do. But it makes it so that we're always self-conscious, whether we want to be or not. And dating is like the most intimate version of being conscious of oneself, right? It's like the only thing you're focused on is, does this person like me? What do they think about me? What is their reaction to me? Does my breath smell? Do I smell good? Do I look cool? All of these things. And I think it's highly valuable to move society in a direction where we get together and hang out and do a sauna or a cold plunge or eat at a community table together with have dinner with people you don't know.
Yeah.
There's a reason that like other countries are much happier because that is like a staple of their life is, at the end of the day after dinner, you sit outside in the alleyway and you play checkers, or you play cards and you hang out with your neighbors. And sometimes you don't even know the person's name, but you treat them like family and friends. And like, we don't see that in America. And you definitely don't see it if you've never left here.
Right.
Right. So it's like we just live in this weird TikTok bubble and it's like everything has to be done on the internet, but it doesn't have to be that way. And I think, that's my long rant about that. But I think it sounds like a great idea. Yeah.
I couldn't agree more, man.
Yeah. And that's coming from someone who doesn't even know what speed dating is.
Yeah.
Right. So speed dating is where you have like a timer, right? And you kind of like go round robin and just kind of try to make a connection in a shorter period of time, I guess.
I think I've never done it and I hadn't had the opportunity to do it here because that one got canceled. But I think it is you fill out some information about yourself. And I think it's as the guy, you sit at a table and the women get the information and then they see, okay, this guy is this information, that guy is this info. And then I guess they take turns within a period of time having a conversation or like going on a speed date. And then at the end, they figure out or they decide which man they want to go on a date with. And I'm making this up. I could be wrong.
Sure.
Correct me in the comments. Like,
Yeah.
I don't really know. But I think that's the speed dating thing. And talking to the person that owns the Pear Club, she wanted to make it very clear that this isn't that. Because that is even, it's not worse than a dating app, but it's not better, right? It's still somewhat gamifying it, somewhat making it like an interview. She's like, the last thing that I want is for people to feel like there's pressure for them to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're at like a speed dating thing, there's tons of pressure. You know, it's already like anxiety inducing enough to go on a date with somebody that you meet from the internet, or to go on a date with somebody that you met in the wild, a stranger, to hang out with somebody for the first time. Imagine being in the hot seat for an hour talking to 10 strangers for the first time and having to answer the questions about who you are as a person.
Yeah.
That sounds crazy.
Damn, I'm sitting here thinking it sounds kind of fun.
I mean,
But
I was going to do it.
I definitely see what you mean, though.
Yeah.
I definitely see what you mean.
I was going to do it. And like, I want to quote her specifically because she has some really good points when we were talking about this. And to your point about getting more comfortable with meeting people in the wild, she said something very similar. So people are scared to approach strangers now, post-COVID, social media. We've lost the muscle of just walking up to somebody and saying hello. Because like, what's the harm?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
What's the worst thing that they can do is not say anything or, you know, be rude to you. Who cares?
Yeah.
You know, and I'm saying that as someone who doesn't do that as often as I would like. But the reality of it is when I do, every time I do, it's a great thing. I meet somebody new. I have a really cool encounter with a stranger. Makes my day better usually. I get an opportunity to make someone else's day better. That's a winner.
100%.
Even if nothing comes out of it.
Yeah.
It's just cool to talk to people in your world, in the wild, so to speak.